Hey, good morning, y'all. My name is Sadie. I did my research paper on counseling autism. Just real quick background of why I chose that. My son, at 4 years old, was diagnosed with social pragmatic communication disorder, which I'll explain in just a second a little bit. And at 8 years old, it was actually changed, and he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And through his evaluation and diagnostic process and his counseling services, learned a lot about myself, and I actually recently got my own autism diagnosis. So real quick, I just want to give a little background into what autism is. So autism affects 1 in 36 children, and approximately 1 in 45 adults are diagnosed as well. Autism affects a person's ability to regulate and process their emotions. It affects their ability to communicate and socialize with their peers, and it also affects how their brain processes sensory input. Autism is a spectrum. No two cases are the same. Every person's experiences it in a unique way. It's beautiful. I love that part of it, that every person you meet with autism is going to be different. So just real quick, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I just want to give a little bit of background on the criteria for diagnosing. So the DSM-5 criteria states that a person has to have 3 deficits in social communication, social interaction, and those can be things like reciprocal conversations, back and forth conversations, reducing or having a reduced share of interests and emotions of other people, eye contact, lack of eye contact, nonverbal communication. This can also be the struggle with imagination, imaginary play, and maintaining relationships. Along with that, they have to have 2 repetitive, restricted patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. This can be things like stimming, echolalia, rigid routine and structure don't do well with changing their structure, and then things like hyperfixations on anything. It can be really anything. My son has he loves Mickey Mouse. He knows everything about Mickey Mouse, but also sensory things, right? Like hyper sensitivity to certain things. So that's just the criteria for diagnosing it. So it used to be that Asperger's was its own diagnosis and autism was its own diagnosis. Well, they actually did away with Asperger's and just made it autism spectrum disorder. And so it ranges. That's why no 2 cases are the same. Social pragmatic communication disorder is very similar to autism. It's the deficits in communication without the repetitive behaviors. So really, I want to focus, my son and I are considered low support needs, and my focus really is on low support needs, specifically in older adolescents and adults. Low support needs is what a lot of people refer to as high functioning. High support needs is what a lot of people refer to as low functioning. It's just how we can function through the day. This Unmasking Autism book that I read has this quote that those who may be considered high functioning in public may be the same people who need extra support in private, and those considered low functioning in public may not be able to adequately communicate, but also excel in specific ways. So what this is saying is that the high functioning and low functioning term can kind of be offensive to some people, just because high functioning kind of takes away from the struggles that those who are considered high functioning deal with, and a lot of times it's in private. It's not in the public eye. They've learned to mask very well and cope, and so masking is just putting on that cover to fit into social norms. And those who are considered low support needs often have a significant other mental health disorders due to the masking. This can come from a lack of resources and accommodations for those who do not have as many obvious needs. And there really is a lack of education and lack of understanding in that. So the needs, let's look at this. Remember, I just want to remind that we're focusing on those considered low support needs. So typically they have some coinciding mental health struggles that come along with that, things such as OCD, depression, severe anxiety, and those are things that really need to be addressed. And another thing that's really important to note is there is a lot of misdiagnosis in adults, specifically women. So about 8 years ago, I was actually diagnosed bipolar 2 disorder, because women are often misdiagnosed with personality disorders, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. These are just because the way we process our emotions can make us seem like we're kind of all over the place. And there really is a lack of resources for older adolescents and adults who are considered low support needs. So some typical childhood interventions for those diagnosed on the autism spectrum are occupational therapy, speech therapy, applied behavior analysis, and in-school interventions. And so where some of those issues come in for low support needs is they often have a really high IQ and intellectual abilities, but they're really struggle in their social and emotional regulations. So they can speak. My son is very verbal. I am very verbal, but we struggle with our processing and our vocalizing. And so my son, for example, this says they often don't qualify for in-school interventions. My son got passing grades. He had an ironclad autism diagnosis, but because he wasn't failing his classes, he did not qualify for an IEP. He did not qualify for any in-school interventions, any in-school occupational therapies. And so he really just fell through the cracks so much where we pulled him, and he's been homeschooled for the majority of his life. So what is available, and how do we help? This is where I kind of get into my research of what I've found. So social skills trainings, this can also be like, I think it's called behavioral therapy. Social skills training just really helps understand social cues. It's some exposure therapy where you get in real life situations and help them work through those things. One thing that we've learned is mirroring reactions. My son kind of struggles with understanding when people are joking, if they're, being sarcastic. And so his counselor really works with him on looking to other people's reactions to see how they're reacting in that situation and then mirroring it. This is a good opportunity to model conversations. They promote social stories and do kind of role playing where we model these back and forth conversations just to help them understand and look for those cues in those situations. Another thing that is very popular is cognitive behavior therapy. This helps the person build a relationship between their own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to help view those challenges in a way that creates a more effective response. It helps a person name their thoughts and process the emotions they experience in a healthy way. And it helps them recognize other people's emotions and feelings, because that's something that's really a struggle. Oftentimes people on the autism spectrum really lack empathy, really lack just this awareness of other people. And so this can help train them to look at people and recognize their emotion. The cool thing about it is it aims to address multiple different aspects of individual skills and challenges, social anxiety, repetitive behaviors, coping with change. So ASD with severe anxiety, this is me, talk therapy with ASD in mind helps the person link their anxiety to their ASD. That helps link them together and prepare effective coping skills. I forgot to mention, so a lot of these pictures are actually of me and my son. I just wanted to share those. I'm very passionate about this because of him, because of the things I've learned through it, and really want to just build education around counseling high functioning, low support needs, autistic community members. So family counseling is also really important in counseling autism because it offers support for those close to the person. It teaches boundaries and modeling. It teaches me how to set boundaries for him and model those, but it teaches me or my husband how to set boundaries and model those things. And it helps us cope and give tools for appropriate social behavior. Not that we should have to change who we are to fit into any social or societal norm, but there are appropriate social behaviors that need to present. This offers problem-solving skills for families and the person with ASD, and really loving somebody with autism, regardless of where they fall on the spectrum, it can be exhausting. It can be hard to understand. And so family counseling is essential when working with ASD patients. So where do we go from here? This Bible verse, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. I just love that. We are so uniquely created by the Lord. No, he did not make any mistakes when he created any one of us. And that goes for people who struggle with their autism as well. So counselors need to be educated on the spectrum of autism, because it is such a spectrum, and they also need to be sensitive to their needs. They should spend adequate time, this is really important, understanding each individual person to create a treatment plan that meets their specific needs. My son really struggled with occupational therapy because his IQ is so high, his maturity level is out of the world, and it was very childish for him. And so his current counselor has worked really hard getting to know him and approaching it in a way that fits him. Each have unique and individual sensory needs and communication needs. Each will have their own accompanying mental health struggles that will require unique coping skills for them. Sensory-friendly environments are always important. I know if I go into a counselor's office and there's just a lot going on, I can't focus. I'm getting sensory overload. So really having, just addressing your environment when meeting with these people and just being empathetic to the sensory needs that come along with that. It's important to use concrete language, very black and white. Try not to use vague examples, sarcasm. Oftentimes that just kind of goes right over our head. So really black and white, concrete language. And then model desired outcomes. That's really important. That's something my son really works hard on with his counselor, is she models him. She models to him what her expectations are of him. It's also important to set boundaries with this. Sometimes it's hard to understand for autism, people to really understand boundaries. Like, we need black and white. We need very concrete, clear boundaries and instructions. And so there's a whole lot more of this on the handout, the do's and don'ts handout that I created. I hope you get to look at that. All right, so this is just a little bit. Counseling low support needs autism isn't just addressing the autism, okay? It's addressing coinciding anxiety, depression, OCD, etc. It's developing specific coping skills that someone with ASD can process and apply. It's offering tools to reduce stimuli, to navigate specific situations such as earplugs, breathing exercises, things like that. It's creating visual examples. It's good to sometimes have visual things to show to really help them understand what you're trying to get across to them. And it also helps create a schedule. It is helping them to create a schedule to reduce anxiety and dysregulation that can come with routine disruption. It's providing prior information to the person to minimize uncertainty. We call it front loading, giving examples of what's to come so that they can be prepared for it. It's role-playing scenarios to prepare the person for possible situations and problem-solving scenarios. And it's offering statistics when facing fears. That's coming to that concrete language. And that's something that is really important, is what are the chances this could happen, that can happen, whatever it may be. So low support needs autism does not mean a person is less autistic. I'm so sorry. And it often means their need for services are heightened in different areas such as mental health and helping them to unmask. While research is definitely lacking on how to counsel older adolescents and adults with low support needs, the attention it deserves is still there, because autism doesn't go away when a person becomes an adult. Research shows that counselors do not feel equipped to counsel this community, leading to a lack of resources. Many with low support needs have developed masking to fit into a social norm, and that often leads to burnout. So proper counseling assists to embrace their unique personality and work with them to remove their mask and encourage them to be who they are. So this is just a few things that I saw that I just wanted to add here on the last slide about celebrating the spectrum. The world needs all kinds of minds. Autism is a way of being. It is not something you get over. It's a part of the tapestry of who you are. Autism acceptance means understanding and valuing the phenomenal diversity of the human experience. And then this, yet you, Lord, are our Father. We are the clay. You are the potter. We are all a work of your hand. Autism is beautiful. It's amazing. And so I just hope that this kind of gives some insight into the difference of counseling those who are considered low support needs and the need for counselors to take the time to build and get to know and love a person for how God created them. Thank you.